Hey y'all, and welcome back to another fan mini episode of Catch That, where we get to know our friends through their favorite R&B songs. I am Naturally Elise, and that is my bro,
JR.
And today we are welcoming back our very first Catch That Mini guest that we ever had that started it off with a bang, bang, bang. Yeah. like very, very hard act to follow.
Yes.
And we appreciate it because you just started it off you did exactly what we wanted the show to do. And so that's how we knew we were doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, all that, but it is our dear, dear friend, Loryn.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me again.
We're excited to
Yes. She jumped on Catch That Minis with a bang. Even Terrence Martin had to say, "Hey, Loryn."
I hope I do not disappoint this time. I do not think I will be as entertaining. This will be a little more, but I chose something that was a bit more sentimental for me. So
you couldn't be not entertaining if you tried.
I agree.
Yes. So tell folks a little bit about yourself as much as you want to let them know in case they missed the first episode.
Sure. So I am a communication strategist by day, plant mama, vinyl collector, and sometimes fiction writer by night. I'm originally from South Central LA, as I said in my first Catch That Mini. I currently live in DC, where my family is from. My people are from here. So I am, I'm from Cali, but I have some deep DC and Southern Maryland roots. And so yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I love music. I am also, like I said, I collect vinyl. My collection, I have about 100-ish or so, and that's growing. I started collecting, it's 2021. I started collecting about 7 years ago. I tend to be a little choosy about what I collect. I hope to do more of that in the new year. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. So, what song did you pick that has JR very giddy?
Yes, I picked Love Ballad by L.T.D. That's the and I believe it's Jeffrey Osborne on the lead vocals. So I should say, actually, before we begin, that I had the distinct pleasure and privilege of seeing Layla Hathaway do a very rare cover of the song, and she said that when she was very afraid to cover it because she had always been told that she sounded mannish, and so she should stay away from covering songs by male artists. I think her dad being the exception here. I mean, I hope that's the exception here. But she went on and did it, and it was beautiful, and it was actually one of the first. No. The tickets that I got for that particular show, my now husband Neal surprised me with those tickets the day he asked me to be his girlfriend, or rather notified me that he'd like for me to be his girlfriend, and wanted to know if that was something I was interested in. So it's a very, very important song to me. Of course, last time I told you that I almost walked down the aisle to Love You for Life and chose another direction. We decided that if we wanted to do a last dance of the night at our reception, we would do it to this song. We ended up not doing all that. But yeah, so here's why that song matters so much to me. This is something I don't talk about as much, but my husband and I, when we first got together, we encountered a lot of doubt and a lot of folks questioning whether we should be together. My husband is disabled. I don't have a physical disability, I'll put it that way. mental health and mental health issues are on the spectrum of disability, but in terms of visible disabilities, I did not have one, but he was born with one. And so there was a lot of conversations among some of my family members around, how is he going to be able to take care of a family? He obviously can't work, which is not true. There was a lot of naysayers. Our immediate family was very supportive. But there are some people who did not believe in our love, did not think I was making a good decision, or did not think that I had the skills I needed to make decisions about who I wanted to be with and who I wanted to love. But I always knew, and I always had faith that the love we had was going to sustain us, and it wasn't just love, right? He was my friend. I trusted him. We have good communications. We were on the same page about so many things. We have very similar values, with a few a few changes, a few differences. But I remember listening to that song. It's just when he talks about what a difference this love has made in my life. Marrying Neal and being attached to his wonderful, loving, kind family. Well, at least you have not had the privilege of meeting them yet, but you will. Has really made a difference in my life. When I came back to DC from Los Angeles, I was bouncing back from a really difficult time. I had left an unhealthy relationship. I won't go so far as to say abusive. That's relative, considering what was happening. But an unhealthy relationship, a toxic relationship. I had lost my job, and I had come to LA to live with my mom. I had no money. I had no car in Los Angeles. I was barely making an hourly wage. I ended up getting an internship, a paid internship. I couldn't find anything else. And when I came back to DC, I had a renewed hope. I had just started talking to Neal virtually, at a long distance for a while. I think we would have been long distance had I not moved. And by the time I moved, we found each other at a time where I really did need support out here. I was rebuilding my life. And his family from jump just welcomed me with open arms. And now I'm actually thinking about our aunt that passed away a couple years ago. And I remember when we had reached out on the family group chat to tell them when we were engaged. We had just gotten engaged that night. And his aunt Ann says to me, I would welcome you to the family, but you've really been a part of this family for so long now that I would just be repeating myself. That idea of, goodness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This song is so important to me because of it talks about a life-changing love. One that not everyone can understand. And I'm sure people look at us and think that we're weird. But, it makes me think about the ways that being with him and walking into love together has changed my life in a lot of ways, has made such a difference in my life. But, people had doubts, and that made me have doubts at some points. But the end of that song, when he keeps repeating, what we have is much more than they can see.
Yeah.
It's just so true. People cannot, there are a lot of things about relationships and of any kind, of any dynamic, if you will, that people cannot see, the hard times that you've gone through. You see what's on Instagram. you know?
Yeah,
and
people
those
can see the grand gestures, but they don't. They will never know because it ain't none of their business. The little things that person does for you daily, you know, even when they don't even know they're doing it, but it's just innate because they love you.
Exactly.
They don't see that either. So,
yeah. So that's it's a really great song. I also just love the vocals on it. I just love, you know, that deep, I guess it's a baritone. It's just so lovely. And the strings, like, it's just, there's so much to love about that song. But what I love about it most is like how it is basically like a testimony of like, you know, what it means to find someone who changes your life or who adds to your life in such a wonderful way. And how like not everyone can understand it, but y'all understand it, so that's what matters. So
see, that's the love right there. That's why I love this song so much, because Loryn, the love that you just described, what you and Neal had, is the love that I want, and I've never had that before. I've never had that type of love in a relationship before, and this song, that's why when people would ask me what's my favorite love song, I would say Love Ballad, because I want that love and a difference in my life that I will have with a partner like that, and that can change my life for the better. And, you know, at the end of the day, they're going to have their doubts. You know what I mean? Everybody going to have their doubts, but their love, that love between you two can understand it and forget about everybody else. And I've never had that love before. Every time I've been in a relationship with somebody, it's been, oh, well, yeah, they don't think that will go great. And we let other people get into our relationship and it don't last. You know what I mean? And then I will always go to that song and be like, why can't I get a love like this? Like when I sing this song, it like literally, it makes me smile because I'm like, I know I'm gonna get something like that. And for you to describe a love like that, oh, that's why I was like, that's it. That's what this song is. And emotion and all that. I know people like y'all crying and all this shit, but still, it's just
the song describes it's. I almost want to say, like, if I can, you can create a straight line. Now, y'all are gonna laugh, and it's okay. You can create a straight line, from Love Ballad to Differences by Genuine. Same lyrical themes, of like this man's who just changed his life, who challenged him to be a better person, right? Not to say he wasn't trying to be better, you know, but like, you know, I take issues with the turn me into a man. I mean, you could have done that on your own. But the core of the song, though, of like someone who comes into your life and just totally changes things for the better.
Yeah,
that is where you draw the straight line. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a phenomenal song. It's such a simple song, you know. I love that it's, you know I talked last time about this idea of like, gosh, you know, niggas aren't begging anymore, you know. But this is particularly about like gushing over how wonderful this person has been to you. Not even like necessarily in a worshipy kind of way, but just like being so heartfelt and vulnerable. So the vulnerability, we're still in that space, right? We're still in the space of like Black male vulnerability in R&B, right? Because I'm sure somebody told him, oh, forget about that girl. She's not good enough for you. It's probably what he heard, because that's what people were telling me. He's not good enough for you. And I was just like, wait a minute. Like, this is one of the few relationships I was 100% sure about in my life. Like, he was probably the thing that I was most sure of. I wasn't always sure about the jobs I had. I wasn't always sure about some of the people in my friend circle at the time. But I was sure that this person loved me, that he cared about me, that he supported my dreams and my career, that he was not intimidated by me, you know, that he wasn't going to try to dim my light. Hello. I was sure about that shit.
Okay.
You know, but like that idea of like, you know, this person you know, or set of people. Hey, you know, some people, you know, have different types of dynamics, but you know, in this particular case, like this was somebody who I knew that I could do life with, that I felt I could trust to not have me out here looking stupid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the number one rule of being with a Black woman. Don't have me out here looking stupid. You know? But yeah, that's so I don't have much more to say, but that's
One part of the song that I really love and it really resonates with me is I never knew that a touch could mean so much. What a difference. And when we walk hand in hand, and it's like when someone comes into your life and they make these, you know, kind of mundane things, regular things, exciting, like, ooh, he brushed against me, woo, woo, you know, you know, but it's just like, ooh, you made that special, or, oh, you brought me a cup of coffee. You know, it's just a cup of coffee, but you made that mean something.
Yeah, like for me, it's when I need to go to the store and Neal will say, well, I want to go with you. And like, usually I like going to this because like, okay, so what you need to know is that we just got a new car that's a little bit bigger. And so it's easier for us to like transport, you know, both of us and his wheelchair if we're going to be somewhere where there's like a lot of walking and whatnot. Yeah. And so that means that we're also able to do more, like run more errands together. And even in that simple thing, like I actually prefer going to the store with him just because it goes quicker because he can, you know, roll around and get what I need and put in the cart, all that. Yeah. But also like just that time to kind of like bond and, you know, the mundane, right? It's that he makes the mundane a joyful time, you know. So.
That's my man, Neal. That's
I love.
Yes.
I really do.
I love it. And then when somebody can write it, like Scarborough wrote the hell out of this. Yeah. Like I said, I think somebody else picked another song that he wrote, and I'm like, this dude knows how to write love songs. Like
song like that.
And like you said, Loryn, it's so simple. It's not nothing dramatic about it. And all that. It's
even the vocals have theatrics, by the way. He just sang the fucking song. Like
and you know,
and look, and it's Jeffrey motherfucking Osborne, dramatic as
a lot.
He's one of my favorite male voices. And And part of it is because he can get real dramatic. He can be like, I'm holding on. You know, he can go there. But he also can go, I have never, you know, he could do that too.
Yeah, he really could have given every time I lose. Yeah, he could have done all that. Back in love. You know,
right.
You know, he dialed it back for this one.
Do you know that this was like Love Ballad was recorded on the first take?
No.
Done. Yes. The first. He said that the musicians normally, because he said when L.T.D, a lot of them will come in late and they would do all this kind of stuff. So the record was there. They got into like an argument or something like that. They had a meeting like 3 a.m. and he said, they was like, won't you just try the song? He said, all right, let's do this.
All right, let's just do it.
Let's just do it. And he went in and he said, the first take y'all hearing is the first take from me. I did it and was done. Nothing was needed. That was it.
Okay, so was it that he didn't want to record this song? Did he not?
No, I think because the musicians being so always late and all this, it was like he was angry. It kind of reminds me of like when Cisco didn't like In My Bed, and he took all the frustrations out in my bed. If you listen to him, he sound hella aggressive because he didn't like the song. He was like, the song sucks. Like he didn't like it.
Can I just say, like, that's not their best song.
At all. At all. And I guess it's 3 and 4 a.m. and they want you to record this love song. I think Jeffrey took his anger out of it. That's why it wasn't hella dramatic. It was just straight this. And you know, for the last like minute and a half, he's saying what we have is much more than they can see. That's all he's saying. He's spinning that on a loop. And he was like, I literally did that in one take and I took my ass home. Like I was like, Well, damn, because he was like, now it's just a feeling. So now when he does his other songs, he like, I want it in the first take, because if you don't get it in the first take, you lose the vulnerability, use the feeling. So when you try to duplicate what you did, it's like you're trying to do that over again, and it's never the feeling. So he said when he heard Love Ballad and they all heard it, it was like, this is the one, don't mess with it, leave it as is. And I was just like, damn, over the first, because I'm thinking, Jeff, you know, he really in love and like really feeling it. And to come to find out, he had the attitude doing the damn song. It was like, wow.
I love how like he performed this way, even though he was doing it with an attitude. Like that.
Now that's a singer.
One of my pet peeves is when somebody does something with an attitude.
Oh.
Like say, like, can you take out the trash? Like, I don't want an attitude. Just
yes. And didn't know he had an attitude. It's like it messed up. Like, this is before or after, because I love this song. It's a top song for me. And then just to know, like, you had an attitude recording a love song. How dare you? Like,
he was fucking tired. Wow, that's funny.
Yes. But like you said, Layla Hathaway did it, and you saw her do it live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was beautiful and everything.
Beautiful.
I wish people would just leave it and do it live and stop doing covers of it, because
who recorded a cup? No.
Elise.
No. Who did it?
So George Benson did a up-tempo cover of it.
Oh,
it's bad. And then
up tempo, is it like a disco?
No, it's just not slow.
Yeah. Then Casey and JoJo did it.
That bad.
Y'all know my history with Jodeci. I don't have to read it. They didn't need to do that one. They really didn't have to do If You Think You're Lonely Now. But that's
ooh, bang, bang, bang. I agree.
It didn't need all the It didn't need all that. It
didn't
need all that.
Then you know Patty did it.
No, Patty did this one too.
No, sir, ma'am.
Spoiler alert! It's bad.
Okay.
It's bad.
Yeah, okay. I know. Look, okay. I don't want the commenters to come at me with I know the girls like to tussle, so it's whatever. But how do I say this as gently as possible? Patty sometimes does too much. Okay.
Absolutely.
I know Somewhere Over the Rainbow is this thing, but she just did a little too much. She just you know, I personally believe, yes, she did all of that. I personally believe that most of the work that I like from her the best, was when she was with LaBelle. Now, I'm not saying she didn't do anything great as a solo act.
Agree.
I'm saying the music by her that I enjoyed the most, her best work was with LaBelle. That Chameleon album, it don't get no better than that.
I agree.
That's the opinion of this show, actually.
Yeah, we agree with you.
That's the opinion of the R&B representers.
Yes, do actually reflect the opinions of the R&B representatives.
Yeah.
So
we with you.
Okay, because I don't want to hear her doing Love Ballad. Y'all.
She did it on when I feel like the older divas, because Aretha did it when not Love Ballad, but when she did covers of these songs like Adele and all those songs. This was like the album before she passed. She did Adele and all these, and she did these covers of these other songs. Then Patty did it in 2005, where she did these covers of all these songs, and I was just
a lot of people Patty, did it. Like other groups, do these cover albums late in their career.
Yeah, and Patty didn't know that, and I said, no, man.
And you know what? I don't have a problem with covers generally.
Yeah,
I think when done correctly, they can be a wonderful way to show reverence to an artist that has passed on, or a statesman or state person, if I can, you know, in a particular genre. I think that's great. I don't think they always work. Like, I don't need any other person other than Layla Hathaway to sing Love Ballad. I don't. He got it on one take and it was perfect. Why? And he did it with an attitude. Why mess with perfection?
Why? And then our girl from what's her name? Tanya Blanc. Yeah, she did it too. Yeah.
Why would anybody?
Yeah.
It was perfect. It was fine the way it came out. Okay.
out of all of them, I think Tanya's was the most tolerable. No. Kenny Lattimore and Shantae Moore was the most tolerable out of all the covers.
I mean, they got those pretty voices.
That's why I was like, it's cute.
And they was actually in love at the time. So.
Right.
What I gotta say, like, I was a little hurt when I found out late. I was late boots to finding out that they did not work out, and that made me really sad because I was like, but look at how the music is so pretty. Yes. And see, that's why I don't think people, if you are married to an artist, I don't think that necessarily means y'all should work together.
Agreed.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but like Elise said, it was tolerable though. Like,
out of all of them, I think that was the one that made the most sense musically.
Yeah.
But am I ever going to go back and listen to it? Probably not. But it didn't offend me.
Yeah.
Right. Like the other ones.
The other ones offend me.
Yeah.
It was it was inoffensive.
Yeah.
But the Casey and JoJo and the George Benson are my least favorite of the covers.
I can't believe Casey and JoJo even attempted. Oh,
but they did it on that Love Always, so you know it was all my life vibe. So you know how that went.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, as much as, you know, I was young, okay. Yeah. I was getting my life to All My Life back then. Like that was a slow dance song back then. That was the, you know, but I would not revisit it at like it's
they was getting their baby face on ish then.
You know, you know what? Actually, he's gonna hate me when I tell. He's gonna be so upset. Not upset, but Neal actually did a rendition of that song for a vocal class he was taking in high school.
Oh,
Neal is a trained singer. People don't know that about him. So yeah, I mean, he probably just did it to try to get girls or whatever. But you asked him about the time that he covered Casey and JoJo.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we're talking to him right after this. So, how about that? How about the apples?
Okay.
But one thing I love that a song this beautiful was a big song for L.T.D.
Mm-hmm.
It started everything.
Yeah, it went to number 1 R&B. It crossed over. It went up to 20, I think.
Yeah,
so,
it was a top 20.
Top 20 song. So yeah. I love that a song that beautiful got its props.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
In the zeitgeist of it, like when it was actually out in real time. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know, sometimes a ballad can kind of keep you, like when we was talking to Brian and how he was like, he's so glad that they didn't go with Weak as a single because it would have made them as this ballad type of group. So you think that this song, you know, started everything, you're gonna think, oh Lord, you know what I mean? Like for group. Yes.
It made all these other people boppity bop bop bops. But
right.
Yeah, they were, you know, churning out the bops. They weren't doing these, like, you know, I wouldn't even say it's not a power ballad, but like they weren't known for slow jams.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. They weren't known for like Quiet Storm type things.
No. Because I think when everybody thinks about L.T.D, I think the first thing, like y'all was singing, Back to Love and Hold On and Holding On, and you'd go to those. I mean, then you like, oh yeah, Love Ballad. Because a lot of people just be like, yeah, that's Jeffrey Osborne. They don't even look at it like it's L.T.D. at all. So it's like, oh, that's Jeffrey.
You know, like Jeffrey Osborne's like greatest hits and stuff, that song is on it. It's not just the solo stuff, like that song is on it.
Look, it's his song. I mean, like I just told y'all, like I don't want to hear anyone else sing it except for right. I don't want to hear anyone else sing it. Jeffrey Osborne, even though he did it with an attitude, left it all. He left it all in the booth.
Yes, it's so crazy because when I first heard the song and I heard it on Kiss, and I asked my mom, I was like, "Mom, who is that?" She was like, "I think that's Jeffrey Osborne." So I'm like, oh, okay, mind you, I'm thinking, yeah, she know, blah, 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 blah. So this was around Christmas time when I went home to, we would come from South Carolina to New York to see come back for the holidays and be with family. So then maybe about 2-3 weeks later, I hear it on the radio and the guy was like, this is Love Ballad by L.T.D. And I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I thought you said this was Jeffrey Osborne. She was like, well, ain't he the only one on it? So, she like, don't look at me. She was like, I know L.T.D, but I thought this was just him. She was like, because she said, again, when you think about L.T.D, I'm thinking about the up tempos. I'm thinking about that. When this song, I'm not thinking about him. So like what Elise said, when you put it on one of his greatest hits, you just see it's him. So it's like, my mom was like, don't get on me. I thought it was him. Like,
yeah. Yeah, just a phenomenal song and one that really just means a lot to me. When did we do this? Like, so a couple of years ago, we started a playlist, just our little like mixtape or whatever, and it's one of the songs on there. So yeah, it's a very important song to me.
Neal and Elise are the king and queen of playlists.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Neal is a fantastic. He really knows how.
One ain't too shabby.
Well, and I tell folks, like, if you like one of his playlists, like, don't tell me, tell him, because he takes a lot of pride out of like being able to curate a really good one.
He does.
And yes. He definitely wants just give the flowers directly to him. You do not have to stop with that. So.
Well, yes. I don't have nothing else to ask. I didn't ask nothing. Perfect. See, she came back and did
it. Perfect. Now, see.
I just got to be a spectator. Sometimes I like to just be a spectator,
Yeah, Elise. But now, her and Max are the same. She got us to cry on the episode. Max got us to cry on the episode. Her first episode made us laugh. Now, the episode we just did with Max, we was laughing like crazy. I'm like, they get us all in our emotional feelings. Come on, man.
But yeah, this was great. This was great.
Yes.
Wonderful time as always. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So just let folks know where they can find you if you want to be found, and if you have anything dope going on.
Yes.
You always got things.
I am L.W. Carter, ELLE, like the magazine, W. Carter, and that's me on Twitter and on Instagram. I am co-hosting a virtual gathering for Black women entrepreneurs on December 8th. And so my pinned tweet, if you are a Black woman who is running a business and you'd like to meet others like you, you can come to that space and come hang out with us. And so that's on my pinned tweet and also on my Instagram. You can find more information there.
Yay! Well, like we said, super, super fun. Thank you for coming back. And yes, and we are so appreciative of all our viewers that just really support us and share this with their folks and just give us a lot of love. And we definitely appreciate it. And we will catch y'all on the next episode of Catch That. Peace. Hey, y'all, and welcome back to another fan mini episode of Catch That, where we get to know our friends through their favorite songs. I am naturally Elise, and that's my bro,
JR.
and we are the R&B representatives. And today we are welcoming back one of our faves, very, very good friend of both of ours, Neal. Hi, Neal.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to our fellow R&B representative listeners.
Yes. So before we get started and tell the folks what we're talking about, tell us a little bit about yourself in case people didn't see your past episode, as much or as little as you like to tell the folks.
Well, I hope you saw my last episode.
Right?
But if you didn't, my name is Neal. Pronouns are he, him, his. I have been a avid fan. Music has been a part of my life for its entirety, and it doesn't really stop. I am eclectic in my musical tastes. I am the son of a DJ that met his wife, my mother, at a party that he was DJing for where she was a model. It was the after party for a party where he was a vinyl DJ. Be clear, a vinyl DJ, and he was. It was the after party for a modeling show where she was one of the models. So,
yeah. So we'll let Neal tell you what song he picked to talk about and how we're going to go a little bit further than just the song. I'll let him tell it.
Yes.
sure. So the song I selected is off the Jacksons' 1976 Philadelphia Records, to be clear, album, self-titled, the Jacksons. The song I selected off that album was "Keep on Dancing."
Yes. And when do you kind of remember first hearing the song, or it really came into your consciousness? And how did it make you?
Sorry to cut you off, Elise, but the song kind of came into my consciousness because obviously being the son of a DJ who, my mom had 45s, my dad had all sizes of vinyl, and he had this album. My dad is originally from West Philly. Please don't put people in the comments. Please don't do the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air BS. Don't do that. Because I saw it. Elise was right. She was like, I'm gonna. No, don't do it. So Philadelphia Records has always been kind of in my peripheral space. I've kind of always had Gamble and Huff, just as much of Motown, and that sound was a part of my early childhood. So was Philadelphia Records, and obviously the Jacksons album was a large part of that. We were definitely a Soul Train household, so Philadelphia Records as a label played a large part in the rise of Soul Train. So
you better let them know, Neal. Yes.
Without the likes of Gamble and Huff, we would not have the adult sound that we got from that Jackson's album, because it wasn't going to happen on Motown at the time. And Keep on Dancing is an example of that. It was so in terms of it coming into my life, it's one of the Jackson songs that I prefer over some of their Motown records. Not to say that I don't like their Motown singles, because I do, but Keep on Dancing actually reminds me of my life partner a lot. Loryn, who's a big fan, who's obviously a super fan of the R&B representatives, done several episodes with y'all, been at your live show, the song reminds me of her because if I'm not dancing in the house, she is dancing in the house because we always have music playing in the house.
Love it.
And the song, and just like the song says, keep on dancing. You know, and dancing music is such a part of like my life, such a part of my family's life. You know, there was always music playing, and like I said, I have an eclectic ear. So, you know, when it comes to my playlists, if you follow me on Spotify or on Apple Music, you already know that I have an eclectic taste. If you're a friend on Spotify and you see my listener history, or you are listening to music while I'm listening to music, and you see me change from one particular artist to another, you know how eclectic my musical taste is. Yeah. So, you know, this Jackson's album, this Jackson's single, which also, let's be real, "Keep on Dancing" was not a single from this album. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it should have been, because you know, just like the rest of the album, it was a very popular and intense track. Definitely set I think I am very much you know, when it comes to Philadelphia records, I appreciate the storytelling that comes from the body of work. I know there was a recent album that was released that was supposed to be an homage to Philadelphia records, but Silk Sonic failed.
You said it, Neal. Thank you, Jesus. Somebody said it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, there's a difference between paying homage and just, you know, skiing and then coming out with music. And that's pretty much what they were doing. If you don't know what skiing is, I'm not talking about skiing on the slopes. There is another type of skiing that was done prior to that music being produced by both artists, not just by one. But anyway, back to the Jacksons and actual music. That album I'm sorry, "Keep on Dancing" specifically, that single was from a body of work standpoint, where it sat on the album pretty much set the tone for the rest of the album. It was, you know, early enough in the track list to where you knew what else was coming. Mm-hmm. You know, and like I said, with most Gamble and Huff produced albums, that entire album told a story. Yeah. But you know, one of the things I talked about in my last Catch That was I appreciate music that tells a story. I appreciate bodies of work that tell a story. This is another song that tells a story. And, you know, this is another album that tells a story. But, you know, in my opinion, there are, you know, in the R&B genre, it's very difficult to now find music that is more about driving singles out the door and on radio than putting an album out, no matter what number it is. And in some cases, you could be stealing from a lower artist, hello Adele, or you could be, just putting together a body of work that actually sounds good, track not just thrown together like that Silk Sonic 9 track, whatever the fuck that was. Excuse my French. But yeah, I don't know what I don't know what else there is to say. That album, Keep on Dancing was great. I know I gave you a really long answer, Lisa. I'm sorry, but I really appreciate the where the album sat on the where the song sat on the album, and also how it sounded, whether you listen to it on vinyl, whether you hear it digitally. Mm-hmm. It's one of those songs that sounds the same. It's really hard for some of the songs that came out that started on vinyl to get transitioned to digital, because and I know you both appreciate this. It's great to hear the crackle and the pop. It's great to hear. It sounds like you're there when you're listening to it on a vinyl,
right,
versus hearing it on a Bluetooth speaker or listening to it in your car. It's just not the same. That's not to say that the album. That's not to say that Keep On Dancing doesn't sound as good digitally,
right.
But that is to say that you should listen to it on vinyl and also listen to it digitally, because the impact is going to hit you differently, I think.
Yes. When I heard Keep On Dancing for the first time, it shocked me for a second, because it was kind of like it started off slow, and then like at that moment it changed. The beat changed.
Yeah. At 1minute and 55 seconds. I listened to it a few times. It makes, and in fact, so you got this groove going, and then you think it's about to go into a bridge, and it's like, nah, gotcha, bitch.
It's a true. It really is. It really is the truth. Think about it, like before, because I love how Neal said the song tells a story, and it does, because like the beginning, I feel like Michael was talking to the girl and he's trying to say, come on with me. You know what I'm saying? I like, come on with me. And then like Elise said, at that 1minute and 55 seconds, he's like, come on, I got you. Let's get the grooving. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that tempo change, and he like, come on, like I just finished trying to serenade you. Like, come on, we gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? And then that minute come up, he said, well, if you ain't dancing, then I'm gonna dance by my damn self, because I done did enough. You know what I mean? So,
but see, the next song on the album is Blues Away.
Oh,
I guess he begged and tried, and she still's like, that's what I said, baby. She's like, so it is a story.
We're talking about a record label that, and Elise, I know you've touched on this in the IG Live when y'all talked about R&B representatives, and I know JR, you hate begging ass R&B, but that's really, where else but Gamble and Huff are we going to get begging ass R&B from the Jacksons, from Michael, like, yes, eventually Michael started singing begging ass songs, but he had to transition off of Motown in order to do it.
Absolutely.
He had to become, it wasn't until, he became a solo artist that he actually started, from a Motown standpoint, at least, started to transition into more adult themes. If you had no idea that the Jacksons album on Philadelphia Records exists, which, let's face it, most people who are quote unquote music heads have no idea that Philadelphia Records exists. Case in point, Silk Sonic. But
a whole lot of blue checks.
A lot of blue checks on Twitter.
That want to pontificate about music, and then you bring up which I think this, as far as like music lovers, this is like a very basic fact, and they like, huh, what? Or they say something totally wrong about it, or
Case in point, like these verses that be going on, a lot of them get exposed a lot. Yeah,
because all they think they know is the hits, and they don't know the deep cuts.
No.
But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. Because we can dig in them all day if we want.
Exactly. But this, thinking about the, just the overall creation of this album and or body of work, as it says, this album really was what it really kind of changed. To me, it changed the trajectory of not just Michael, but also the rest of the Jacksons, because it gave them a chance to be a little bit more independent. in the creation of the songs. It gave them the opportunity to be a little bit more involved in the actual overall music.
Right.
Because Berry Gordy didn't give a whole lot of freedom to artists unless they were his girlfriend or his boyfriend. So, you know, conversely, Gamble and Huff did.
Right.
They gave, you know, whether it's the 3 Degrees, whether it's Delphonics, you know, you could go down the laundry list of the artists that were on Philadelphia Records at the time, or the artists that showed up to do one and done albums like the Jacksons did.
Right.
They had freedom in the recording studio that wasn't afforded to them, and it's why Gamble and Huff, Gamble and Huff attribute a lot of their success to their connections to Motown, obviously. But they also, when they separated and kind of created their own sound, it became more adult. Yeah, you kind of heard it later in the evening on the radio. Yeah, you kind of heard it, you know, as the club was closing. But a lot of these are love songs. These are songs that stick to you. I know, I don't know when this episode is getting released, but you know, during the holiday season, you want songs that are going to stick to your ribs. Right. Just like the food is going to during this holiday season. You want you want music that does the same. Right. And you know, this album, Keep on Dancing, all the rest of the songs on the album definitely do that.
Do y'all feel it with this album? Because like you said, like I'm loving how you broke that down about how Michael and them kind of needed this album to kind of grow up, to be honest. Like they needed this album to grow up because Motown had them being little kids for the rest of their lives. And it was like, come on, like you needed an album.
They look more grown up. Think about all the covers.
Yes.
They're like these like kind of goofy themed, you know, kind of weird
bubblegum mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just and it was like, you know how everybody talks about how thank God for Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis for New Edition.
Right.
It was like Gamble and Huff were the first ones to do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Jimmy Jam said he's always been inspired by, you know, Gamble and Huff. But this album to me, that's what I was going to ask y'all. Do y'all feel like this song to me, Keep on Dancing, kind of foreshadowed what Michael wanted to do musically? Because if you kind of listen to Keep on Dancing, to me, I can hear that like foreshadowing that Off the Wall that he wanted with him and Quincy, to me. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of, I hate bringing up his name, but you know, when Justin Timberlake did Future Sex Love Sound and 2020 Experience, and they were doing kind of like that, Timberland was doing kind of like that, you know how a song starts off slow and then it changes, but it's the same song, but they kind of use that. And I feel like Michael wanted to do exactly that. And he was having so much fun on Keep on Dancing at the end, because he's just vocalizing while, you know, Dexter is playing. He's just like vocalizing. You can tell he's having so much fun because, like you said, Neal, Gamble and Huff made him feel free. It was like, go ahead, do what you want. You want to be a part of this process? Go ahead. You know what I mean? And he was able to kind of flap his wings a little bit. You know what I mean? So I always feel like this foreshadowing to me.
I think you know, there's always the what if the Jacksons didn't go and do this record in 1976 on Philadelphia Records. What if they stayed with Motown? Michael would have probably never gone on, you know, he probably would have attempted to go on the independent route, but his sound would have sounded completely different if he had stayed under the Motown brand and never got a chance to grow up. Same thing with Stevie Wonder. Same thing with Marvin Gaye. You know, Diana Ross still hasn't grown up vocally, but that's a conversation for another day. You know, but see, that's what happens when you stick with Berry Gordy for so long.
Right.
You had to experience. I mean, you had to experience something else.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
Different, you know. You can't. So yeah.
I'm so, because I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think Joe was gonna keep them at Motown anyway. If they wasn't gonna leave, if they wasn't gonna go to CBS or they wasn't gonna go to Epic, they was gonna go somewhere else. Because Joe was like, I'm not keeping my kids here. I'm not doing it because they're not happy and they keep telling me they're not happy. And Joe was always in the mix of what was new. And that's why I think they probably would have even signed to Philly if you would have let them. You know what I'm saying? I think they probably would have went there because it would have been like, Joe, like, look, Motown, y'all getting a little stale. It's not that the music y'all making anymore. It's not that y'all not changing with the times. Y'all not doing any of that. So I see these two guys over there, this Gamble and Huff. I see what they doing over there. Let's try to get over there. You know what I'm saying? So I think they would have ended up moving anyway, but I just don't think we would have gotten an album like this if they would have, you know what I'm saying, would have went with somebody else. Like, we wouldn't have got Enjoy Yourself. Because that breakdown, you can't tell me shit. Gamble and Huff body that damn breakdown. Yeah. Like, what? Yeah. Whoo! Like, that's, like you said, that's some Soul Train shit. Like, I want to see that, them, you know what I'm saying? Seeing them dancing with their afros and all that on Soul Train, just murking everybody in the audience and all that, even though they were just getting Kentucky Fried Chicken dinners for what they were doing. But I would have loved for them to be going off like that song there, and like Elise said, Blues Away, and then you get Show Me the Way to Go, which I feel like it's a perfect damn song. Like, that song is perfect. And you can tell Michael was like really feeling, like I said, he was free. This dude was just like, we can work it out. Like, he was just going off, and it was just like, Motown would have been like, little boy, no.
Blues Away, he's like, I said, baby.
I mean, as you just ad-lib, JR, you get some of Bad Michael ad-libs in this album.
You do.
And this is in 76.
Yeah.
This is in 76.
Yeah.
So you want to talk, like, he was headed in that direction anyway.
Right.
And I would argue, to add to your earlier point, that Philadelphia, that the Jacksons album on Philadelphia Records was a vehicle to, as you said, not just to Quincy, but also to the rest of his independent music career. And right. We saw what happened with the Jackson brothers that said, we're going to go back to Motown.
Word to the band, Elise.
We see what happens when you stay with Motown versus, again, like,
Jay, are you feeling real good about yourself right now?
Love it. Thank you, Neal. Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you have it this time.
Thank you.
When you tell the truth, yes, that changed his trajectory of what he might have been able to do,
Right.
He had the vocal chops to do it bigger than it ended up being. So
I mean, even though that second album they did with Gamble and Huff, that Going Places, it was like
yeah, it was going places. It was going places.
It wasn't going the right places. It was going somewhere, but it wasn't going the right places. Because I'm like, what I think, and I think with this album that they did, that 76 album that they did, I think by then they have busted out so musically. It was like they wanted to start producing themselves. They wanted to start doing everything themselves. And you can feel like on this second album that they did, Going Places, it was like, yeah, I think Michael and them are ready to do their own stuff. You know what I mean? And that's why when we get to, Destiny, Destiny, is it? Yes, it's Destiny, with Blaming on the Boogie and all that. It's like, okay, this is them. You know what I mean? Because Gamble and Huff opened them up in that 1976 album, but then it was like that, yeah, y'all were one album, one and done. And I think by then, I love Gamble and Huff. By then, they were kind of taking a little dip. Just saying. Just being a little honest, because that same year they came out with The Traveling, The Speed of Light with the OJs. So,
But yeah, and something I'm noticing looking at the Going Places, it you could tell it was a time where now that they got a taste of the freedom on this album, because now you're seeing in a line of notes is Michael and Tito and Randy. So they were like, oh, well, I want to do this, and it might not, they probably weren't quite there yet to like really take reins like that. And so it kind of ended up kind of being all over the place, which the album is kind of all over the place.
It is. It definitely is. But I just, do y'all feel like this Jackson album, when people talk about the Jacksons period, do y'all feel like it's underrated?
Oh, severely, because people don't know it exists.
Okay.
People don't know it exists. Okay. They pull, they pull, certain DJs who know what they're doing, pull, Show Me the Way to Go in the mixes, right. And by that I mean DJs who are versed in the history of music, right. And know that Philadelphia Records was a thing, versus the artists, that don't. I'm sorry, not right. The artists, the DJs that don't. And I'm not just talking about the DJs who DJ parties. I'm talking about the DJs on the radio as well,
right?
Who also don't know their history but are hired for their personality.
The Red Cup extravaganza, and
hello.
You would be surprised how many people that even would show you the way to go, to where I have played it for people and it was their first time hearing it.
What?
A lot of people, and not necessarily music, like people that are moderately music heads, but they
right.
They proclaim to be music, but just fans, and they're like, oh my God, I love this. I didn't know about this song.
Wow. Because I thought that of the Jacksons is kind of like, well, no, now thinking about it, at least you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because again, I don't think, and like Neal said, a lot of people don't remember this album or even go to it. They go to Triumph. They go to Destiny. They go to those. Then they go to the Jackson 5 stuff at Motown. They forget about this.
They literally skip over these as if they never even existed.
It never existed. You're right. You're totally right.
And some people don't even realize that this period is Jackson's and the Motown was Jackson 5. Like, there's a lot of people that don't even realize that there's a there. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's very true.
There are people, to your point, there are people who mislabel music and put Jackson 5, whether, when you're looking for it in the vinyl or, you see it tagged somewhere, they put Jackson 5 literally, and it's not like, do you know it's not necessarily, do you know the difference? But obviously, to your point about the liner notes, like even putting together the songs and being involved in the songs, and not just getting a playing the instruments. They were also playing the instruments different. Yeah. In the we can poo-poo on Going Places because it was Going Places and not in a good way, and we can but even with the Jacksons album, like and especially with the Jacksons album, like when they started getting involved with more of the instruments, obviously as the Jacksons 5, you saw them playing guitar and playing drums and things like that, but a lot of that was window dressing. That's what a lot of people don't realize. When it came down to production, if they're in their early teens, they aren't playing those records in the recording studio for Motown, but they are when they're on the Ed Sullivan Show, because Ed Sullivan loves dancing Negroes in colored suits playing for him and for other white audiences.
That part. Woo, baby, Neal, you is going in today. I love it.
You said nothing wrong, though.
At all. that part. Listen.
I almost made Elise spit under water, so I must be doing something right.
My poor little sparkling water was about to be all over my computer. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So, before back to the album though,
Yes.
before you hopped on, I was telling JR, I was like, this is actually a very happy album. I mean, even though Blues and Way is about him kind of getting curved, it's still not a sad sounding song, right?
Yeah.
Because like the song goes in the track listing, enjoy yourself, think happy, good times, keep on dancing, and Blues Away. And then side 2, show you the way to go, living together, strength of one man, dreamer, style of life. Like,
he sounds like the side B sounds like Teddy Pendergrass.
Basically,
living together, strength of one man. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
who knows? It might have been a couple of these joints that they wanted to give to Teddy, but you know Teddy wasn't solo yet, so they was like, we'll give it to the Jacksons. We'll give it to them.
They can put on it, yeah. Like this is definitely a feel good record, but without, because sometimes feel good records could kind of inch over into cheesy. It's a feel good record without being cheesy. Yeah.
And there's a few of those out right now.
Yeah. And without being too formulaic, it's just like it's just happy and they're having fun. And you can hear it.
You could tell like Michael's vocal ability on this. Like the dude is having a good time. He's liking the songs that he's given. You know what I mean? Like, because at a time you listen to those Motown stuff, you can start to tell like Michael ain't happy with these songs. Like, look at the album covers of some of them. They ain't even smiling. Like, they not here for it no more. Like, they like, we want to make our own stuff. Let us do what we want to do. And you can, like, when you look on the cover of this album, look, they smiling, happy. Like, it doesn't look a little cheesy, yeah. But at the end of the day, you can tell they happy. They like, yo, we just made a dope body of work. Like, we've been wanting to do this for years and we finally got the chance to. And you see all of that. You know what I'm saying? Randy knew on the block, even though he really wasn't, but he knew on the block and just a grinning like, ooh, I'm actually a part of this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
not just the extra Jackson.
Yes. Yes. Oh God. Yeah. So yeah, this album is done. I just want to ask y'all how y'all felt about it, but now breaking it down, yeah, it's definitely underrated for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I don't know. Never mind.
I mean, if you wanted to be shady, shoot, Neal done brought out the bag tonight. Be like, boom, 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 boom. But he ain't lying by none of it.
No, it's the truth. And the reason I respect Neal's shade is, if you want to call it that, well, I mean, it's shade because it's the truth. It's coming from an informed place. It's not just somebody talking crazy and don't know nothing. That's why I don't respect it. Yes. I always respect it for Neal, like, you know, being a line, I'm like, oh Lord, Neal, but I don't never say Neal lying.
You don't. You would tell me, don't you follow Neal up, but I'll be like, but you be like, well, he ain't lying, no.
You know?
Because I know Neal will read, he'll say something and I want to read it and at least be like, don't you dare. But then he ain't lying, though. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, sometimes, admittedly, I will say things, even though I'm speaking from an informed position. So thank you for acknowledging that. I sometimes I do say things in the live to keep it lively.
Right.
And sometimes I say things to literally throw the both of you or one of you or one or both of you off.
You do.
But it's all from a place of love.
Yeah. and I appreciate it. And sometimes you gotta say, and this is just in life in general, not just music, you gotta say the hard things to either get people talking about something or to really find a solution or just really point out something that's just not okay. And
Facts.
sometimes you got to be the that voice and or that force.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
I got a little noise, and I try hard not to too much get on the my angry old man yelling at a cloud about music, and but I mean some things just need to be said, and it's just saying we want variety back. We want people that are at least a trained musician in the room.
Right.
Like it's we just want that back. It's become this like vapid, just empty thing of music, and the business has taken too much over it. And it's just you want people to go back to being creative, going back and being thoughtful about music, and going back to thinking about impact, and going back to making people feel good.
Right.
And I'll just add to that doesn't mean by going back and having artists think about what they are putting together as far as their body of work, as far as pushing out music, as far as creating music, writing music, playing instruments, all of that. Like if that means skiing, if that means getting a little high from whatever, if that drives your artistic expression, so be it. But there are artists, unfortunately, that get caught up in in their high, and think that once they're in their high, that they are infallible, and the music that they come out with, and that ends up being produced, is not above critique. Recently, with a certain album, apparently on Spotify, can't be shuffled. And they just put together music that doesn't really that just sounds kind of haphazard. We were talking about Going Places earlier, right? And we were talking about how that album kind of, it's kind of thrown together. Mm-hmm. And how many albums can we think of artists who we either respect, or even sometimes artists that we kind of want to see better from, right? Where they just kind of produce albums and they just kind of don't think about creating a body of work. They just have to push out album after album after album every couple of months.
Right.
And they just throw these songs together, and for no rhyme or and they are thrown together on an album for no rhyme or reason. And at this point, it really doesn't even matter the genre, whether it's rap, whether it's R&B, whether it's country, whether it's blues. Like there are so many artists that I want to see better from, particularly some of these younger artists, some of these up and coming artists. And they could use examples, and they could use producers like Gamble and Huff as an example. You were talking about, unfortunately, Justin Timberlake and, more specifically Timbaland, kind of, without Timbaland's sound, whether it's 2020 or Future Sex Love Sounds, we wouldn't have the Justin Timberlake that we had today. Obviously, some would argue that, Usher would probably be a better vessel for some of those beats that he ended up wasting on Justin Timberlake, and I agree with that. But Timbaland was also trying to, push music out, and there was a receptacle there. Was it a trash receptacle full of trash juice? Yes. But,
I tried to hold it, but I couldn't.
but at the end of the day,
yeah,
like, as we think about artists kind of creating sounds, and kind of creating bodies of work now, and again, particularly from artists that we want to see better from, and that we want to see full bodies of work, and we don't just want to see you kind of, kind of come out with a single, and then come out with a single that you shouldn't have come, and then do a second single that you shouldn't have come out with, and then push out an album that you literally just threw tracks on the wall and weren't thinking about, okay, how is this going to sound? Track 1, track 2, track 3, right. And then by the end of it, and maybe I should have just come out with an EP instead of an album, because there are several albums that should have just been EPs.
Mm-hmm. That part.
And then something that you mentioned was about people feeling they're above critique. And that's where like kind of stan culture comes in, mm-hmm. where if you say you could actually say with one of these artists that people stand over, you could literally say, I like the album, but it's just a couple songs that don't curl all the way over for me, and they will get in you like you. They will interpret that as, oh, you think, for example, oh, you think Beyonce's trash. I didn't say that. I said them 2 songs just kind of ain't do it for me. It didn't fit in the album. And it gets turned. It's like, I didn't say that.
Yeah. That's
so you spend the whole time fighting, trying to say what the fuck you said, and you never actually get into critique. The appropriate response would be like, oh, why don't you like those?
Right.
That's discourse.
Right.
Don't you come for my queen. She can't do no wrong. Fuck you. Everybody do wrong.
Talk about it.
My favorite artists got bad songs. Some of them got bad albums. They've had bad days on stage. They've had bad days on social media.
Yeah.
Sometimes they look crazy. And I'm willing to say, oh yeah, that was a misstep. But or that was a bad album. But let me tell you the couple gems that are on it.
That's right. That's right.
Put you on to that. But I agree. It was a little shaky. Or even if I don't agree, it's like, okay. But like, I kind of see where you're coming from. You didn't really sway me, but I get it. Like Brian Osmore, he wanted to convince us to like certain songs, and we're like, we still don't like them. But now we understand why you like it.
You like them. That's right. That's right. That's right.
And I mean, honestly, like one of the things that I wish, not just I wish people would, read more liner notes, but as far as music culture is concerned, but and care about who is producing the records, who's behind the scenes on the on the instruments, if it if it's not their artist. But to your point, Elise, like one of the things I also wish, as far as just stan culture is concerned, is I wish there was a level of consideration paid to the history of music, and not just who is singing the song, but also who is in the booth. Because as we're thinking about, as we're looking at future verses and things like that, and we're as they're kind of going back into producer battles, and we're thinking about who is going to be up next and things of that nature, a lot of these producers, and let's just be honest, there's a difference between actually producing a record than just sitting in a booth and pressing buttons. Like there is a level of care that comes from the production of an album, mm-hmm. The production of a record, that I don't think a lot of artists, particularly in the streaming era that we're in now, take into consideration. There are several artists that seem like they're coming from a factory, and it seems like they're coming from the light-skinned Black girl or light-skinned, racially ambiguous factory, mm-hmm. where they're being framed as these R&B artists or whatever, and it's just like, you sound just like the 17 other girls that just came out with similar music. Like there's no different. You all sound the same. You all sound like, lazy lazy sopranos trying to be altos, should have been altos in the first place. And like, I'm a tenor one, so I'm just gonna listen. It's just gonna come out. The truth will set you free, as they say. Uh, we have a lot of artists that seem to really come from a factory mindset in terms of the production of their content, and they're not really concerned about, again, as I was talking about earlier, as you were just talking about, not just the stan culture, but the stan culture obviously plays a role, because once their album comes out, then people listen to it once. We have a lot of music fans, quote unquote, who are listening to an album once and calling them classics, right? And let's just be honest, it's not really a classic. It's probably a dud, but you don't want to be honest, right? But you also don't want to, you don't want your fan card removed, so you don't want to call it a dud in public, because God forbid your favorite artist sees you say that, or you think they're going to see you say that on social media, and God forbid someone, which has happened to me, someone snitch tags and tries to imply that I don't like a particular song, when that artist actually follows me and I actually talk to them behind the scenes, and I actually, we have these one-on-one conversations. Like, that's the other piece that I think people don't take into consideration when they kind of do with the fact that stan culture has gotten so toxic. And it's really kind of emboldened music labels to produce these like factory artists that all sound the same. Yes, we have there are a lot of artists, particularly in R&B, who sound unique and don't sound like everybody else. They don't look like everybody else, and are considerate to the history of the music of the past, and are thinking about the future, right? When we're thinking about production and talking about production. But then we have artists who just, have a mic in front of them, have a pre-written song, have a pre-produced beat, and then they just sing, and then they just push the album out, and they're not thinking about, how is this going to sound when I build this track list out? What kind of story am I actually telling? Or am I just just a regular artist on on this label? And let's be honest, unfortunately, and to your point, and to your earlier point, JR, I'm going to circle back, when you were talking about Gamble and Huff kind of fall, sort of towards their downturn, like that's what kind of led to it, because you had a lot of, whether they were established artists at that time or not, who were just more interested at that particular time in just pushing stuff out, rather than thinking about, how is this going to sound? Am I actually telling a story?
Right.
And let me just get this out.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of it is, honestly, is history repeating itself, because the 60s was about push out a single, push out a single, push out a single. You go back to you go back to most 60s soul albums, you're not getting no story. The songs that are on there don't make no sense to be on the same nothing together. A
lot of covering each other's songs.
Yeah, covering all each other's songs.
Oh.
And so it's like it's repeating itself, because it's, I don't think we're gonna get that 70s body of work music, that full package, that lush, thick, musician.
Wow, these words. Wow. Okay. All right. Lush and thick. Okay, I know
the author in her. You see her?
All right. Okay. Lush and thick. All right.
Yeah. I mean, because I feel like the 70s is really the only time we really, really got it like widespread across genres. So I'm not just talking about R&B, like you were talking before. I mean, the rock music, then you were getting bodies of work, lush albums, the country, like even the pop, kind of pop leaning stuff. It's
easy listening crew.
Yeah, even that, you got some good ass albums that you can still play through now.
Yep.
After the 70s, that was kind of gone.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, but you got it from producers who looked at, peak 70s production and recognized, okay, I can do the New Editions, I can do the Janets, I can do the Prince, I can do, I can do the Anita Bakers, I can do, I can revitalize the careers of Aretha Franklin and Patti LaBelle. Artists can change directions like a Tina Turner. Artists can revitalize themselves again, like every single decade in a Stevie Wonder, something I talked about in Catch That. Literally one of the few artists to literally every decade change his style of music and literally sound unique in every decade. Yeah. And Michael similarly was the same way. But again, conversely, we look at his brothers who kind of didn't necessarily want to stay, who, stayed the course with a certain record label. And we saw how their career trajectory went and how they had the only way that they could stay relevant was when they linked back up together. Because outside of that, we weren't getting that full body of work that you were just talking about. And yeah, we can continually talk about bodies of work. And yes, there are several artists who are doing a tremendous job, current recent artists, whether it be R&B, whether it be pop, who are thinking about that, right? But in my opinion, and clearly in the rest, in both JR and Elise, there's not enough.
Right.
It's just like Jadakiss said in that verses. It's good, but it's not enough.
Yeah. I think that was the statement to drop the mic.
Listen, Neal dropped the mic ever since he started talking. We didn't even need to say nothing. You should have just let him talk the whole episode. Because I kept saying that part. Yes, that part. That part.
And it's like, yeah. And I'm glad that me and JR decided to do a show like this because we don't ever get on here standing. We have a discourse and we laugh and joke and mess with each other. But at the end of the day, like I said before, if an artist that we love makes a misstep, we say it.
We say it
about legends, and we say it, and to some of them, we say it to them. It's like, our idols. And when we was like, they ain't curl all the way over, sir.
Yeah.
We're not saying it to be mean. We're just going back and analyzing, like, everything, anything you do is open. Anything you do in this world is open for critique.
Yep.
Like, and everybody's not gonna like everything you do or say. This is what it is,
Facts.
And, yes, I'm artist, so sensitive about my shit. But at the end of the day, I know that I put it out there, and that means, if I didn't want nobody to say nothing, then I should have just kept it, in my journal.
That's right. Period.
But yeah. Thank you, Neal.
You're welcome.
This is awesome.
And one thing I like about talking to Neal is he kind of makes us dig a little deeper and just really.
Very. Yes.
And I appreciate that.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and thank you for saying about that album, the Skis album, because
that new album.
When I tell people ask my opinion, because of course we have a music show, so people ask us all the time what we think about stuff.
Yes.
And do you know people have had not so nice things to say to me when I say that I don't love this album. And I have not said to anyone that I disliked it. I said, I think y'all giving it too much. I think it's enjoyable. It's not something I'm going to run back all the time.
Nope.
But it's all right, but it ain't all this that you're saying. But again, that's my opinion, and people I can't believe you say that. You a snob and da. Well, I'll be that. In the words of, Reggie Noble, I'll be that. So
okay.
And that's just so weird. It's like, but obviously you care my opinion about it because you asked me. If you wanted me to lie to you, like, why are we even talking?
Right.
Have we met? Like, that I'm going to give my honest opinion, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Just like I expect anyone else to give their honest opinion. And if you really do love the album and all that,
great.
Then great. And I might ask you why you like it or which songs speak to you or whatever, and keep it moving. But me, it got to be a whole thing. I'm sure there's a whole lot. Them same people, like, I'm sure it's a whole lot of shit that I love that you don't, that it's not your favorite thing. And that's fine.
Facts.
That's why we want variety back in music.
Exactly.
And then there's something for everybody.
There it is.
But yeah, I digress and all that. But yes, Neal, let us know, let the folks know if you like to be found, where people can find you, and if you got anything going on that you want to talk about.
Not really much going on. Just getting older and blacker.
Love it.
But you can, I guess the best place to find me would be Twitter @Neal Carter. The only @Neal Carter when you do your Twitter search. So yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you again, and of course, we want to have you back whenever you want to come back. Honestly.
Yes.
And to talk about whatever.
Yes.
We don't have to be favorite song. We just talk about whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. And we appreciate all our listeners for always being down for us and promoting us and telling us about it. It's a really dope feeling. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we will catch y'all on the next episode of Catch That. Peace.
Peace.